to it. So Jerry Nadler and the Democrats are doubling down on stupid. Actually, I take that back, Joe. They're quadrupling down on stupid. They doubled down last week on stupid. Now it's a quadruple. The Quinella is next for you horse people out there who bet the ponies. Yeah, this is ridiculous. So the collusion narrative, as you know, if you followed my shows last week, is completely, entirely collapsed, because one of the central tenets of it was the idea that Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer, had gone to Prague to coordinate the collusion and conspiracy with the Russians. And Michael Cohen, who is the anti-Trump conspirators' lead witness, not Trump's lead witness, he's turned against Trump, has already debunked that and says he was never in Prague. So the Democrats are moving on from the collusion narrative to an obstruction of justice narrative. Now, this is unsurprising because they're preparing America for a big letdown on the collusion front. Why would they be doing that? Because there's no there. That's the words of Peter Strzok, by the way, the lead investigator who was involved early in the Trump case when he texted his girlfriend. He said, hey, I'd jump at the opportunity to investigate this, basically, but, quote, there's no there. So I want to debunk this thing entirely and completely for you now, the obstruction charge Jerry Nadler's laying out. To be clear, where we're going with this, collusion is entirely falling apart, folks. It's dead as a doornail. Bury it. It's like the serpent and the rainbow, you know. Bury that sucker, except in this case, remember the serpent and the rainbow? They bury the guy and he's still alive. In this case, he's really dead. Collusion's over, okay? It's
really
done.
Dead.
So he's really dead, right? So they're moving on to this narrative, Jerry Nadler, the Democrat and House Judiciary, who's chairing the committee, to a Trump obstructed justice narrative. It's been all over cable news today. Now, what they're trying to claim is Trump obstructed the investigation into his organization, of the investigation into collusion. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the logic here is so bizarre that it takes about 7 degrees of stupid to figure it out. But I'm going to ask you for a moment to take off your... what did he say? My Miss Gilfeather, my 5th grade teacher, God rest her soul, used to say, put your thinking caps on now, boys. I'm asking you seriously, as thinking, sane, rational people, for a moment, to take your thinking caps off. Because if you're a smart person, you're not going to understand this. But if you're really dopey, or you can pretend to be for a minute, and try to drop a few IQ points, maybe this will make sense to you. Nadler's claim is that the collusion investigation, which was based on a hoax, the dossier, that Trump obstructed the collusion investigation, even though the collusion investigation was disingenuous and a hoax from the beginning. Now, I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but again, if you're a liberal, it makes perfect sense because you just can't stand Donald Trump. And rational, reasonable thought are all colored by your rage and anger, which you can no longer control. So the obstruction charge would seem to indicate that they had some evidence, Joe, that Trump took some steps to stop the FBI from investigating him. Now, let's go through and walk through the actual evidence showing you right how ridiculous and silly these stupid charges are. First, ladies and gentlemen, James Comey, former FBI director, while this whole Spygate scandal was going on and through the first few months of the Trump presidency into May and June there, Jim Comey was the FBI director. Now, assuredly, if there was an effort to obstruct the investigation by Donald J. Trump into this collusion hoax, then Comey would have some evidence that happened, that Trump took some firm, hard, material steps to stop and obstruct that investigation. That's the whole essence of an obstruction investigation charge. But here's his quote from Jim Comey in his own memos. Ladies and gentlemen, these are Comey's own memos, okay? The president went on to say that if there were some satellite associates of his who did something wrong, it would be good to find that out. But that he hadn't done anything wrong and hoped we'd find a way to get it out that we weren't investigating him. Folks, I can't read this to you enough because this is the next evolution now. I've explained this to you for 2 years. They are going to move on to this obstruction charge, which will fall apart completely because there's no evidence of that either, just like collusion. And next, they're going to move on to Trump's financial dealings. Actually, I shouldn't say next. They will do them on parallel tracks because they don't have anything.